Homies, check this out. This is a fun review for me today. I wanted to build one of these for a while. I saw somebody review it, and I'll go over everything that it is. This is a Revell kit. Revell is known, at least when I was a kid. Nowadays, I don't really keep up with it, but as a kid, it was known as kind of a cheaper line. You can find them in gas stations when I was a kid. And, we'd always go visit my grandma, and she'd take us to the corner store, and we'd buy a Revell, and they were snap together kits back then. So you, or maybe if you needed a little glue, you had that, and you'd build it while visiting your grandma. This is their VW camper, and I saw this advertised, and I thought, oh, that looks really, really good. Now, I am not building it for the same reason that the guy I saw build it. I'm building it for the possibility of damaging it up and kind of building it like a battle van in a way, or like, let's say it's the future sometime and they use it for, transportation. It would just be kind of fun to see it all dirtied up. And it is a decent snap together kit, but I was a bit disappointed because this was $50. I got two of them. The first one came to me and they literally just set it on the ground outside of my door, and the box was pretty damaged, but everything was fine. So I wrote him and I said, hey, I'm going to return this. Send me one. Do not set it on the ground. Can you set it in a box, and put it in a box and then put it in front of my porch or whatever. And they did the exact same thing. I don't know what it is, what they were trying to do. But so I had two of them, and then I have a certain amount of time to return the first one. And so what I told myself, in fact, I've got to return it within a few days. What I told myself was, let me build it, see what I think. If I really like it, I'll keep the other one that is in the box still for a possible future build. You get these are stickers, so you do get some stickers. Wait, no, these are slides. These are the stickers. You can see the stickers are fine. There's some really great little choices if you're trying to make an accurate, VW bus, which of course I'm not going to do. That's the cheesy liner from the seat, so it's a really, really old school looking thing. They even have the brands. They have the cool speedometers, odometers, all that kind of stuff. Like, instead of making those little details, they gave you little stickers, which is fine. Now these are water slides, so that's different. I kind of wish they did it all with stickers, but sometimes slides are just better because they're flat, they're thinner. Building it is fine. I think the problem here, though, is that as for a $50 kit, it really started to feel pretty cheap, or not really well made. There's a lot of flashing. I think that might be a little flashing there. It's quite a bit of flashing you had to trim off. I posted in our little builders group at work that see that fell off. That this really made me appreciate the absolutely stellar quality of like Bandai kits, Kotobukiya kits, stuff like that, where they're just so buttery. And Revell has no excuse. They're not a tiny company. I think they're not Germany. I can't remember where they're from. But to have, after assembly, the door be this loose, to open it is kind of hard. You kind of have to pull it forward like that and then open it, which is it's okay. As you can see, the seat has already fallen out here. Now, granted, I didn't glue anything because it didn't tell me to glue anything. One of the main issues is the fit of stuff. So, like, for example, this entire front piece, the lights here go in there. You can see they're loose a little bit. This part goes in there, but it was too hard to get in because they kind of pin everything together with little pins about this size. Let me show you on the little mud flap they gave me, and it's fallen off. So this is about the size of a lot of the pins you'll see. They're little pins. So normally with a snap together kit, you're not going to have a pin. You're probably going to have literally like a little square piece like this that slides into the slot, and the tension keeps it together. Modern snap together kits like this guy here, I've been playing with this guy for months, and it still holds together, and all it's held together is with tension and with what they call poly caps. You see the rubber bits, right? But all the joints and stuff like that, a lot of the joints, I should say, or even like the snapped together two halves, are just joined with tension, and they'll never come loose really. Maybe over time with a lot of manipulation, but they really are sturdy. This guy, I don't know why, it just kind of feels, excuse me, not cheap, because there's some really nice parts in here, but just not designed well. The door here, see the door to slide, well, we can go ahead and leave that off anyway. It's really disappointing. Now, I thought maybe I built it wrong, but like I was saying, oh, geez, that snapped on there. Oh, see, it's literally falling apart, literally. This front bit, so those tabs or those pull thingies that go in there, like this, instead of a nice tab or whatever, you really have to just chop them off, because when you try to start pushing them into the hole that attaches it, they're too large. They just weren't molded well, and so they don't fit right. So you're squeezing it, and it just, as you can see, the gap there, so it's just not holding the whole thing together very well. This thing I just put on, and as you can see, it comes right off. Now, it might be meant to come off pretty easily so that you can swap out the different roofs and have like the open roof with the camper part, which I don't care about. That's not a big deal to me. It's cool that they kind of you know, come off easily so they can do this. But again, the parts just aren't very high quality. Like I said, you get quite a bit of flashing. You can just tell a huge difference. What was really interesting too, this is kind of a good illustration, but it's not nearly as bad. So you have 105, 106, 122, 133, and 132. So they basically, what I think they did is, you have your sprue, you're laying it out on a computer. The guy who does this, guy or girl or other, whoever does this, lay it out on in a computer, right? And you go, okay, well, here's the sprue. All these parts will fit on the sprues like this to save the most room. So if you have a little part like that, maybe you put it on the sprue there. You know, you try to save a little room, and you try to make it to where you're using less plastic, or at least you're not wasting a bunch of plastic. You don't use this entire sprue for one little part, in other words. So you're trying to be efficient. But for some reason, because of the order of the instruction manual, it's like they made the sprues first and then made the instructions, and then had to find the numbers and just put it along the step. So here's 105, that's an earlier part, and then you come back to 133 and it's over here. Whereas with most of the time with a modern kind of Gunpla kit or other snap together kit, it's laid out so well that you could almost literally take a sprue and just go left to right on it like a book and put it together. And it's a little shocking how poorly laid out these were. It's not a big deal. You're still just going and finding the number. But it just, like 105, 106, that makes sense, right? But then you go 133, 132, and then 122. You'll have these you'll have like 7 next to like 36. Just random stuff like that is just little quality of life stuff that makes no sense. You see the gap here? This is supposed to go up in here like that. I'm afraid to push it together too hard, or it's actually supposed to go down there, I think. I'm afraid of pushing it too hard because it's a little fragile. You know, you've got this seat that I just cannot get to sit down. Let's see if I take off the roof, I can see in there a little bit. The interior is great. I love toys with interiors. I was going to make an entire video about toys with interiors because I love them so much. This has a little hatch for the engine and stuff. I wish this opened. I think it does it. Actually, I think it might. Yeah, it does. I see the you see? Look at that. I see the hinge right here. I haven't opened it because this part here broke. You can see that cracked. Mark, I didn't do anything special to it. I'm telling you right now, I've been building models for a long time, and I am a doofus, but I don't just accidentally randomly break stuff. See, I can't even get that open. So it just, for $50. Now, granted, that I believe it was an exclusive in Germany or something, you know, so maybe it costs a little closer to 35 or 40 or something like that. I still don't think it is worth it at all. So I am going to return the other one. What I'm going to do with this one is take it all apart. Make sure the little tabs, let me show you, see if I can do it on this one here. I might be able to. And I need to take it apart anyway, so I'm not really worried about it, but, see, because I want to illustrate this. And again, if you've been a Gunpla builder or whatever, you'll know. So, you have these tabs right here, these poles. Now, my camera's pretty good about getting up close. Let me see if I can show this. So as you can see from the pole, it's kind of fatter on the top. That's because I was trying to push it down, push it into the hole, but because they made it, they just haven't got their tolerances right. Whereas in a Gunpla kit, you go snap, and it would go together like freaking butter. This goes, and you're pushing, and it doesn't quite go in, so that when you pushed it against here, it wasn't flush. So what I'm going to end up having to do is just cut off the poles, or shave them down at the top, but probably just cut them off and just glue that together. The unfortunate thing with that is that if I want to take it apart to put more details or paint it differently, I'm not going to be able to do that. So see, it should be a little more flush like that. Oh, look at that. It just pushed the seat out. You see what I mean? So the quality is honestly a bit shocking. I've built Revell kits in the past, but knowing that they were just not up to snuff at all. So it just doesn't really shock me. But it's just a little bit sad because this is not a cheap kit. The interior looks great. I'm kind of sad that you can't actually make the seat go down. And like they did this interesting thing on this bench seat in the back where it's on a little riser. I'm not sure why, and it's just not. It's tiny. It's in the middle, so that let's see if I can pop it off. I'm gonna have to do this anyway because I'm gonna have to paint it and stuff. It's not coming, but it's anyway. It's got. I don't know if you can see that little gap there. Let's see if you can see that little gap. There you go. So in that gap, there's just a little, kind of like a little plastic riser right in the middle. So you have this constant rocking motion that's just loose. So you do have the nice back and stuff, but I mean, I wish you could take that out, and I wish a Gunpla kit, you would be able to fold that down and literally transform the interior. This table thing, I thought it could rotate to let it out. It can't rotate. You can take it out. See, but I was hoping it would be able to rotate like this. And every time I try it, I notice, oh, they have a little tab to keep it into place. I don't even think this rotates out. So you can't do any of the fun transformational type stuff that you could with a VW van that made it like a little house. I got this because I love toys with interiors, and I wanted to customize it up. I'm still going to do that, but because it's such a crappy kit, I'm going to just beat the hell out of it. Now, it's about 1/25th scale. It's actually 1/24 scale, I believe. So that means it works with my 1/24, 1/25 Hexagear Joy Toy, which is my main kind of scale. He's probably a little bit of a larger dude because he's like a marine type guy, right? But you could see him, you know, driving that around, and then I could make it into like a little mobile medic thing or something. I thought that would be fun. Like they found an old van from Earth's past, and transformed it into like a medic van or something. You know? So I'm gonna have some fun with it for sure. I'm gonna punish it for being a crappy kit, but it's a real shame that the like I said, there's a lot of flashing and going on. The chrome bits they give you are nice. There's a few bits that do work, but like I don't know how that just pops right out like that. It really, I don't know how a company like this still gets away with this kind of quality. I don't know how they continue to sell kits, and my only guess is that they do a few exclusives like this, and then occasionally an actual really nice premium kit, and then sell a lot to like Michael's and stuff like that to store, and to kids who don't know any better. But this is just really bad. If anybody out there knows a good kind of like a VW type van or a van 1/24-25 scale, I would love to know, because I really wanted this to be good, and it just is constantly falling apart. Maybe once I glue it, if I glue it, it will be a solid kind of toy. But there's just no excuse for this. It's really, really, really bad. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.